Hey everyone, Mitch coming in from the Commander's Core Studio. Welcome to the show. So on today's episode, I've got an A tier commander for you with Bilbo Birthday Celebrant, or at least I should say A tier in the power tier rankings that I did on the Lord of the Rings Commander deck pre-con commanders. So yeah, if you haven't seen the episode, make sure you check that out to see why this one ranked A. Regardless, Bilbo Birthday Celebrant is a very exciting commander, a 2/3 halfling rogue for white, black, green. So yes, an Abzan focused commander. If you would gain life, you gain that much life plus 1 instead. That is huge. It is a great way to gain additional life with different instances of life gain. Gain us a lot of life throughout the game. And we want all that awesome life for a single purpose, because you know what? It's Bilbo's birthday and we want to celebrate. Pay 2 in Abzan, tap exile Bilbo, search your life for any number of creature cards. Any number. Put them on the battlefield, then shuffle. Activate them if you have 111 or more life. Yeah, essentially just go get your entire deck and put it into play. Well, when it comes to your creatures, kind of like a 5 mana activate, you probably win. And with this deck, yeah, you probably win when you activate that. We're all about life gain, all about getting a ton of life, maybe at the expense of our opponents, and then winning in a big, flashy birthday celebration way. Bilbo, let's do this. Every single card in this deck is less than $1, except for the commander, of course, which is very close, $1.77 regardless. This entire deck is very budget friendly with an estimated cost, according to Moxfield, at $28.88. Now, keep in mind that does not include the cost of basics, but you might already have those, or you can get some of your LGS or from your friends. And of course, that doesn't include the cost of shipping. That might vary depending on where you live. Regardless, still very budget again, less than $30 overall. Yeah, I'm excited about this one. Let's jump into the tactics. So first up, let's start off the party with tactic number 1. And of course, first up, there's Wayfarer's Bauble. For 1, we pay 2, we tap, we sacrifice, we get a basic into play, tapped. No matter what your opening hand is, when it comes to your lands, hey, you can utilize this even if you don't have green for land ramp. Next up, Druid class. Speaking of green land ramp, whenever a land is battlefield under control, you gain 1 life. Lovely. That is huge again. Essentially, that's 2 life again, thanks to our commander. On top of that, the second level is you can play additional land on each of your turns, a huge effect for a card like this. Then we've got Rampant Growth, the OG ramp spell. 2 mana, go get a base, gonna play tapped. Then Edge of Autumn, basically exact same thing, but with 4 fewer lands. That's a requirement. And you can cycle it away by sacrificing land when you need to. Then there's Steve. Sorry, Steve, we're gonna be sacrificing you basically to Rampant Growth. You're not gonna stay around for too long, but you can be a good blocker, you know, temporarily. Then there's Cultivate. Go get 2 basics. 1 goes into your hand, 1 goes in battlefield tap. A great way to set yourself up. Moving on, we've got Harrow. Sacrifice 1 land, go get 2 into play untapped, so you can utilize that mana right away. In a similar, we've got Entist Restoration, a great new ramp spell. Basically Harrow, but those lands come to play tapped. But if you control a creature power 4 or greater, and yeah, you've got plenty of opportunities to have that. Instead, you get 3 basics into play tap. So for 3 mana, ramp 3, yeah, that can be absurd. Well, technically ramp 2, you lose 1 land, but still, you know what I mean. Next up, Pristine Talisman. Not land ramp, but one that can help us out a lot. An inefficient mana rock. Yeah, cost 3, taps for a single colorless. That being said, you gain 1 life. And again, with our commander, that is going to double up. And of course, we got other ways to double up as well. Plenty of ways to take advantage of this. Plenty of ways to gain a lot of life throughout the game with even a card like this. And then finally, Search for Tomorrow. Wayfarer's Bauble isn't the only great turn 1 play. To spend 2 for a single green mana. So yeah, I mean, if you cast on turn 3, that's nice. But turn 1, even better. Go get a basic into play untapped so you can utilize it right away. Let's move on to tactic number 2, though. Bilbo Jr. Other cards that actually help us out when it comes to life gaining. Cleric class is a great one. If you would gain life, you gain that much life plus 1 instead. Nice. Level 2. Whenever you gain life, you get a counter on target creature control. Also very nice. On top of that, level 3, resurrect a creature, gain life equal to its toughness. Very nice there as well. Regardless, yeah, it's another great additional way to really stack on top of all those life gain instances. Speaking of which, Knight of Dawn's Light. Basically the exact same thing again. Hey, 2/2 first strike. Yeah, if you gain life, gain that much plus 1. Nice. Again, these add up a lot throughout the game. And sure, you can pay to pump this, but that doesn't really matter. What does matter again is, hey, get more instant life gain, get more life. Honor Troll. 2/3. Vigilance Troll Druid. Again, exact same thing. On top of that, sure, this is also just, you know, a 4/4 if you got 25 more life, which you start off with more than 25 life, so there you go. On top of that, Herald of Hope is yet another one. 2/3 flyer. If you gain life, you get that much +1. And then also, hey, you can give it lifelink too. If you really want to gain extra life, go for it. Yeah, there's a lot of ways to gain a lot of life, and we're going to jump right into them. First up, Lunarch Veteran, a great 1/1 for 1 mana. Whenever another creature we control comes into play, we gain a life. On top of that, if this is ever dealt with, disturb it up from your graveyard, get life on the opposite end. 1/1 flyer. Whenever a creature leaves the battlefield under control, you gain 1 life. So yeah, happy to gain life in either way. Then there's Cruel Celebrant. We can celebrate our victories with our little opponent's, defeats. With this 1/2 vampire, hey, just 2 mana. Whenever a creature planeswalker you control dies, unfortunately, our opponents are going to lose life. I'm so sorry I did that. But also, we gain a life, which, again, every single instance of life that we have is going to be incredible in combination with our commander and all those other Bilbo Jr. type effects, gaining more and more life, getting to that 111. So we also have Daxos. Daxos can help us out in both ways. A 2-star, toughness equal to Devotion White, so this can be huge. Whenever another creature you control enters the battlefield or dies, you gain 1 life. So on either end, we're going to be gaining life. LSO Core can help us out in multiple ways as well. 2/2 Death Touch, so a great blocker for us. On top of that, whenever a creature enters the battlefield you control, you gain 1 life. So again, life gain, lovely. And whenever a creature you control dies, we'll lose 1 life. So again, we are going up, our opponents are going down. Next up, Passion Order. Very simple, very effective. Creature comes into play under control, we gain 1 life. Prosperous Innkeeper, exact same thing. On top of that, hey, when it ETBs, get a treasure token. So what's not to love about that? A little temporary ramp. Then there's Suture Priest. Again, a little bit of a give and take, mostly just giving us and taking from our opponents. Whenever the creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may gain 1 life. Yeah, we're going to say yes, please, thank you. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under opponent's control, we can have them lose 1 life. We're also going to say yes, please, thank you. Drain them, thank you for that. Then there's Tablet of the Guilds. When it enters the battlefield, we choose 2 colors. We've got 3 colors, so yeah, just pick your best 2. When it casts a spell, if it's at least one of the chosen colors, you gain 1 life for each of the chosen colors it is. So a lot of our spells now are just going to gain us additional life just when we're casting them. And of course, on top of that, with our commander, with Bilbo Jr.'s, yeah, we can gain a lot of extra life with all of that. Then we, of course, got Zulaport Cutthroat, a great draining effect. 1/1. Whenever a creature you control dies, you don't lose 1 life, and you gain 1 life. Again, yet another instance. We've got so many instances of perpetual life gain. Lovely. Moving on, Core Celebrant. Again, very simple, very effective. Another creature comes into play, gain 1 in a bigger way, Healer Pride. When another creature is battlefield under our control, we gain 2 life, which again is basically 3 with our commander in play. Even more with those other instances of Bilbo Jr. Yeah, these can really add up. Next up, Vindictive Vampire. Whenever a creature you control dies, Vindictive Vampire is going to deal 1 damage to each opponent. You gain 1 life. Basically another version in a way of Zulaport Cutthroat. So yeah, the more we can stack on each other, the more pain our opponents have, and the more life we gain. Sunscorch Regent. This can be absolutely massive. 4/3 Flying Dragon. Speaking of massive, whenever opponent casts a spell, we get a counter on it to make it huge. And on top of that, we gain 1 life. So every single time our opponents cast a spell, we gain 1, which again with our commander turns into 2. Yeah, this can add up quite quickly. And speaking of addition, Pontiff of Blight. Oh my goodness, Extort is so good with this commander. 2/7 Extort, but on top of that, other creature we control have Extort, which means basically, hey, whenever we cast a spell, for each of our creatures, we can pay an Orzhov. And if we do, each opponent's going to lose 1 life and we gain that much. Again, in a multiplier game, if all of our opponents are still there, we're going to be gaining 3 life for every 1 mana we pay for each one of our creatures. Gross. Lovely. Awesome. We're going to get to 111 quite quickly with this in play. But we can also get there in absolutely no time with massive gains. And one of those comes with Riot Control, a great card, instant for 3 mana. You gain 1 life for each creature opponents control, prevent all damage to be dealt to you this turn. A great fog effect that can be very surprising for our opponents. And on top of that, a great way to gain an absurd amount of life out of nowhere. Again, if you're playing against your opponent's token deck and they've got just like 20 creatures in play, you're like, oh, thanks. Appreciate that. Yeah, I just gained a lot of life just out of nowhere for 3 mana and saved myself from combat. Thank you. Speaking of taking advantage of go-wide strategies, Congregate. Instant speed, incredible life gain. 4 mana in total. That's not a lot at all. Target player gains 2 life for each creature on the battlefield. For that effect, that is insane for this kind of a deck. Again, if there's, say, 40 creatures on the battlefield, which is quite common in games of Commander, even if there's only 20, that's 40 life. If there's 40, that's 80 life. You can go up well over 111 just with this. Speaking of which, Astarion the Decadent, a 4/4 Vampire Elf Rogue for 6 mana, Death Touch lifelink. If you get any random step, choose 1. Target opponent loses life equal to the amount of life they lost this turn, so that can just be a nice way to double that up and take someone out if we need to. Or, hey, you gain life equal to the amount of life you gain this turn. Double up your life gain in that turn. That can be incredible. That can easily get you well over that 111. And speaking of easy mode, yeah, Revival Revenge, mostly Revenge, is the one we're going to focus on. Double your life total. Target opponent loses half their life, rounded up. So, drain an opponent for a good amount. And on top of that, hey, were you like at, I don't know, like at least, 56? If you're at 56 or more life, which of course is quite easy for you to get to, you're doubling up into the range that you can activate your commander. I think I did that math right. Yes. Anyways, it's very easy for you to get well over, I mean, even like 200 life with something like this once you're set up properly. So, yeah, a great card for a deck like this. But when it comes to great cards, of course, we've got to talk about the Golden Pig of this deck, which, of course, the number one card out of 99. And the Golden Pig for this deck is Grey Merchant of Asphodel. That's right, Gary is back. Gary is massive in this deck. A 2/4 zombie for 5 mana in total. ETBs. Each opponent loses X life for extra devotion to black. You gain life, your life lost this way. First up, just as this, if this is in your hand early in the game, that's fine. This can gain you a good amount of life. At a base level, this can already gain you a decent amount of life without anything else in play. With other things in play, obviously, it's going to gain you even more. That being said, where this is really key is just, hey, yeah, you activate your commander, you probably win the game with this coming into play because you're going to have a lot of devotion to black when this comes into play, and you can drain your opponents basically out, gaining an absurd amount of life. Yeah, have fun with that. Gary, you're an incredible card, especially in a deck like this. Again, just as one that can help you out, get to that actual, game-ending state, or actually just win you the game. So there you go. Next up, let's move on to tactic number 6, early presence, because, well, sometimes we're going to get a little impatient and we don't exactly want to wait, until it's actually our birthday, right? We just want to get our commander in play. We want to get all of that life, and once we do, we can activate it right away. So a great way is to give haste with a card like Ring of Valkis. A simple equipment. Equip creature has haste, equip 1. Now, also, it can give counters to creatures red. That's not going to help us. We don't care about that. What we care, again, is, hey, we have the potential to be like, you know what? I don't even need to play my commander. I'm just going to gain a lot of life in other ways. I'm going to get this out, and then in one turn, I'm going to get my commander out and activate right away because you know what? I'm in green, and I can ramp that quickly. Have fun. Also, of course, Swift Hoof Boots. A great card for this kind of a deck. Helps in both ways. Equip 1, Hexproof, and Haste, so it protects our commander and allows us to activate right away. So yeah, this card can be huge. Next up, though, when it comes to gaining and draining, we've got some other ways to really take advantage of all that life that we are gaining. Dina Soul Steeper, a 1/3 Dryad Druid for just 2 mana. Whenever you gain life, each opponent loses 1 life. Again, we've got so many instances of life gain, so many instances of repeatable life gain. This can drain our opponents in absolutely no time. And again, if Gary doesn't take our opponents out on that ETB, yeah, when we're getting all of our creatures in play, these definitely can. And I do say these because, I guess I shouldn't skip that second part. Pay 1, sacrifice a creature. A great way to pump, but also, hey, again, keep in mind all the Zulapar Cutthroat type effects are great. Now to the other awesome creatures that basically do the exact same thing. Marauding Blight Priest. Whenever you gain life, each opponent loses 1 life. These additional ways to drain our opponents further can be huge because, again, we have so many ways to gain life. So also, exact same thing, basically. 2/4, Flying, Vampire Warrior Ally, Cliffhaven Vampire. Whenever you gain life, each opponent loses 1 life. You're going to get used to hearing that because also, hey, Epicure Blood, yet another vampire, this time a 4/4 that does not fly for some reason. Whenever you gain life, each opponent loses 1 life. So again, we've got so many ways to drain our opponents even further. Again, Zulaport Cutthroat type effects, Gary type effects with Gary. And then also, of course, these type effects that can take advantage of all of our instances of life gain. But now let's talk about a different kind of gaining with gaining knowledge in tactic number 8. Dawn of Hope is a great card for this deck, an enchantment for just 2 mana. Whenever you gain life, you can pay 2. If you do, you draw a card. We're going to have an absurd amount of instances of life gain, so this can trigger a ton. On top of that, sure, you can make soldiers with lifelink if you really need to. Next up, Trellisar Moondancer, a great free, repeatable source of card selection. Whenever you gain life, you get a counter on it, so this can become massive in no time. On top of that, Scry 1. So yeah, great card selection here. Speaking of cards, Loaming Shaman can help us, well, if we need to, reset things. Because, you know what, we had an exciting birthday celebration, but maybe, our opponents somehow survived it. let's make sure that we can do that again. So enters the battlefield, target player shuffles any number of target cards in their graveyard in their library. Yeah, we can ensure that, hey, you know what? We can reset those creatures that are already in our graveyard. Again, we've got sacrifice effects. We've got Zulaport Cutthroat type effects. We can ensure that we can get some creatures back into our library, and we can really take advantage of them again with our commander's trigger again. Next up, your temple's under attack. Creatures you control gain indestructible on return, or you and target opponent each draw 2 cards. So depending on the situation that we're in, whether we need some card advantage or just to make a friend, right? Hey, I'm your buddy, right? You can come to my party. You can come to my party. Cool. All right. Yeah, let's draw some cards. Or protect your team from a board wipe. Next up, Cosmos Elixir. Beginning of your end step, draw a card if your life total is greater than your starting life total. Otherwise, you gain 2 life. Again, another instance of life gain, which is nice. But more importantly, card advantage if we are able to keep ourselves above our starting life total. And again, we've got a ton of ways to do that. Next up, we do have some specific cards that work very well in this deck. Dialogue Tier can help us go get any of them. Go get any card out of your deck directly in your hand. Dimir House card, a bit more specific. Sacrifice a creature, regenerate it. First up, that is massive. That is huge. Again, that is game ending. We get all the creatures out of our library. We get them all into play. We've got a lot of those Zulaport Cutthroat type effects. Hey, sacrifice creatures, drain your opponents out. They're gone. Have fun. Goodbye. But yeah, also we can transmute this for 1 black, discard out of your hand. Go get any card in our deck that costs 4. We've got a lot of great ones. Moving on, Harmonize. Simple. 4 mana, draw 3. Yay! Siphon Mine. Slightly less simple, but still, 4 mana, basically draw 3. Each other player discards a card. You draw a card for each player discarded this way. So essentially, again, if you've got 3 opponents, draw 3 cards. So they go down in cards, we go up in cards. And when it comes to going up in cards, Well of Lost Dreams is massive. Whenever you gain life, you may pay X, where X is less than or equal to the amount of life you gain. If you do, draw X cards. Yeah, we're going to be gaining a certain amount of life throughout the game in many different ways. So this is just basically a pay 1 mana per card draw engine for us. A lot. But now let's move on to tactic number 9, pain and gain, because sometimes our pain can become our gain as well. Sun Droplet. Whenever you dealt damage, you get that many charge counters on this, so this can get quite a few quite quickly. On top of that, at the beginning of each upkeep, you can remove a charge counter from it. If you do, you gain 1 life, which again, in combination with our commander or those Bilbo Juniors or whatever I'm calling them, you gain 2 instead or even more. So this essentially can negate whatever damage our opponents are going to be dealing to us, and also can just, utilize other great triggers. Again, whenever we're gaining life triggers, and we've got plenty of those, we drain opponents, we draw cards, etc., etc. A great card for this kind of a deck. Then there's Revenge of Ravens, yet another great attack deterrent, or a way to take advantage of our opponents attacking us, because whenever a creature attacks you, or planeswalker you control, that creature's controller loses 1 life, and we gain 1 life. Again, stack this with something like Dina, stack this with our commander, gain more life, drain opponents. Gross. Speaking of which, Righteous Cause. This one doesn't care where the attacks are, because whenever any creature attacks, we gain 1 life. That counts our creatures and our opponents as well. Anyone attacking anyone, it doesn't matter. We're going to be gaining a lot of life with this. And again, all those additional triggers can help us out. Again, our commander essentially says, you know what, let's just turn that into 2 life per creature. Dina says, let's drain opponents. And then Well of Lost Dream says, yeah, let's throw a bunch of cards, because Wells can speak. Did you know that? Anyways. Let's move on to our final tactic. Tactic number 10, party over. Because, yeah, we're going to throw a wrench into our opponent's plans with a lot of things. I mean, on top of it, just draining them. Instant for 2 mana, D-Spark. Exile target permanent mana value 4 or greater. Get rid of something big for just 2 mana. Yeah. Speed of 2 mana, Fracture. Destroy an artifact, enchantment, or planeswalker. A great instant speed effect again for just 2 mana. Oblation. I love this card. Instant speed for 3 mana. Make someone shuffle a non-land permanent into the library. That owner's going to draw 2 cards. So, hey, yeah, if something's really pesky and we need to get rid of it, a great panic button for us. Or if we need to draw some cards, get rid of something you don't need. Or again, shuffle something back in your library. Shuffle Gary back into your library so you can get it out with Bilbo again. Then we've got Crush Contraband. Basically, get rid of 2 things, an artifact or enchantment, exile them both. Then there's Kaya's Wrath. This can be a great way to gain a ton of life. Destroy creatures. You gain life equal number of creatures you control that were destroyed this way again. If we have a panic button situation, we're like, oh, we need to deal with the board, but yeah, sure, I'll gain some life too. A great way to do that. Then there's Utter End. 4 mana, exile a non-land permanent. Very simple, very effective, instant speed. Cleansing Nova. Very flexible. Choose one, destroy all creatures, or destroy all artifacts and enchantments. So whichever we need for the situation they're in, do that one. Then we just got a great way to gain a ton of life and to get rid of things too. Fumigate. Destroy all creatures. You gain 1 life for each creature destroyed this way. This is going to be a great way to just gain a ton of life, get us over that 111. And then, of course, Steer Command. Very flexible, very effective. Choose 2. Artifacts, enchantments, big creatures, small creatures, whatever you want to destroy, do that. And when it comes to destroying creatures, of course, in Garrick's Wake, destroy creatures you don't control, planeswalkers you don't control. Yes, it's 9 mana. We are in green. We can ramp very efficiently, very effectively. One-sided board wipe like this can be absolutely massive. So yeah, I hope that you enjoyed the deck tech on Bilbo Birthday Celebrant, an A-tier commander in my opinion. A great, really fun commander that can all be about life gain, can be about big explosive plays, can be about celebrating that birthday by getting all your friends to come and celebrate with you and take your opponents out. Have fun with that. Yeah, if you are interested in this deck, make sure you check out that deck list link in the description below. And yeah, make sure you comment below your thoughts on this one. And with that, today's episode is coming to a close, so let me know what your thoughts are on it in the comments below. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.